loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And with me today is Gifty Enright. I hope I got the pronunciation right because I
Yes,
hate
it's
when people
Enright.
miss it.
Yes,
Enright.
Enright.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Now, Gifty people, I'm telling you, I'm international. One of these days, I'm going to be live with some of these people. But anyway, until then, Gifty is in the UK. She's an author, speaker, coach. Welcome, Gifty.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, we're going to go right into it. How can one's well being impact productivity? But before we do that, when you're going to describe well being, just give us a context. What do you mean?
So for me, well-being is living in a balanced state so that all aspects of yourself are getting the equal attention that they need. So for some people, all what they're doing is just career and not giving any attention to the kids, not looking after their body, not nurturing their relationships. So they tend to be having a one-dimensional life. And that makes you unbalanced and that ends up affecting your health. And so well-being is when you're living in that balanced place. So it's not just your physical health, you have mental health, you have emotional health, and you have spiritual health. That is well-being to me.
Okay. I have a question though. Do you think the whole idea of having a balance though, is that really possible? Or is that really just something that's idealistic that people throw around and say, oh, you need to have a balance? Do you think it's really possible?
So it's more of an overall balance. So you can't be balanced
Okay.
every minute and you can't be balanced every day. So you will have an
Uh,
unbalanced week. Sometimes you have an unbalanced month even.
okay.
But it is having the goal in terms of the target, as in not to neglect any part of your life. And so depending on what's going on, for example, when your kids are small, your attention might be, taken up a lot by that nurturing responsibility, which means that perhaps other things have to be dialed down a bit, right? But it's that constant, so balance, if you like, is constantly adjusting the dials, right? Depending on where you need to be. That is what balance is.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So now that we've created a context, how then does that impact on our productivity?
So you can't be productive when you're all over the place. And so let's say somebody is not been sleeping well.
Okay.
And just has not been sleeping well since they can't even remember when, right? Now, to expect that person to be as productive as somebody who is sleeping well and having the usual, I don't know, 7 to 8 hours every night, biologically is just not even speaking the same language, because there's certain repair and restoration that goes on when people are sleeping well. And so it affects your bandwidth, it affects your memory, it affects the way you process information. And so if your well-being is all over the place, when you're coming to work, and we're just using sleep here, and you're sitting in that meeting, I mean, I know this from when my kids were young and you're waking up God knows how many times through the night and stuff like that. You're sitting in a meeting. I mean, I had instances where I'd be talking to somebody I've known for years, I couldn't even remember their name, right? Because I wasn't sleeping well. So that's how it affects productivity. So let's take stress again, another example. So, if your well-being is all over the place and you're stressed out and you're just jacked up on cortisol all the time, your body's in fight or flight, right? So in terms of being creative, you need to be in a relaxed state. When people are saying they're in the zone, nobody's in the zone when they're pumping cortisol and are stressed out and just running for their life. You can only be in the zone when you are in a certain emotional state. And when people are in that zone, they're more productive, they see more things, they can go deeper, they can think outside the box and all that stuff. So productivity, if you want to be more productive, your well-being is absolutely pivotal because it underpins your biological systems for a start. It allows you to be able to think straight. It allows you to be able to see the wood for the trees and get more strategic in your outlook rather than just being in a constant survival mode and just literally, just focusing on just the one thing in front of you.
Is this whole idea then of one's well-being, is it then supposed to be a joint effort between yourself and, let's say, your workplace? Because the reality is that a lot of us spend most of our time at work, whether it is we're doing it remotely or in a physical space. So
Yeah.
is it then supposed to be a joint responsibility? And if then, how can that happen?
Right. And so it's not just a joint responsibility with work, it's your society as well, your community, right? It's a holistic
Fair
thing.
enough. Fair
And
enough.
you, the individual, have to take responsibility for your well-being. You can't expect somebody else. So a lot of people are trying to foist this on their employers, and the employer can provide all sorts of facilities. You can have a gym with all the equipment and stuff, but if the individual is not prioritizing their well-being, they're not going to use the gym. Right. So the responsibility stops with you, as in you understanding what is important to your well-being and what you need to prioritize. And that is when you're able to take advantage of the facilities you have around you. Now, talking about the environment and your employers and the society and all that, again, if you understand how important your well-being is, when it comes to emotions, for example, you have firm boundaries in place. And so you're not allowing people to take advantage. You're not allowing people to make you work, 26 hours or whatever it is and ignore your family and all that. And so when it comes to the responsibility, again, it's up to you to enforce that boundary. So your employer can put policies in place to make sure that people are not being asked to work stupid hours. So that's as far as the employer can go. When it comes to society, when it comes to your neighbors, respecting your boundaries, right? If you're not there enforcing the boundaries, people are going to run roughshod over you. So the responsibility stops with you, but others in society also have a duty of care to make sure that at least they provide what people need in the workplace. And if we're talking about community, the people respect boundaries that others have put in place. Hello, everybody. My name is Gifty Enright. I'm an author, speaker, and coach, specializing in women in the workplace. And I'm delighted to be here today with Noreen Daly on her podcast. And now we're going to get a word from our partners.
Making you last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
For all your events such as educational forums, workshops, book launches, weddings, and more, contact Noreen Daly, the ultimate MC and event host. Visit noreendaly.com or follow her on Instagram at Noreen Daly Jam. Noreen Daly, creating long-lasting memories.
Does your business lack branding? Having difficulty realizing your vision? Look no further. Splinth Brand Design Consultancy specializes in developing personal and business brands. Services include strategic management, website creation, social media branding, and more. Visit them online at www.wearesplint.com. Splinth, the brand you need to succeed.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.
Welcome back.
I love the fact that you keep using the word boundaries. There's somebody who's going to watch or listen to this and think, but sometimes when I try for my own sanity, and I'm just saying this generally, it is that people might say, but it is that you're becoming selfish and you're just so quote unquote into yourself. How do you then help those around you to understand that, I am doing this for me and that's okay?
Yeah. So I always like to use a pilot as an example. Flying a plane. You have all these people in there that you have to get safely to where you're going to go. If you haven't looked after yourself and you're dizzy, you're going to crash the plane and take lots of lives with you.
Oh, yes.
This is how important it is for you. So it's not a matter of being selfish. It's a matter of being responsible, particularly for me, because I specialize in working mothers, right? You have children's lives and their emotional growth and their whole livelihood dependent on you. So if you are not taking care of yourself and you crash and burn, there's all that going down. We can't call it collateral damage, but there's a lot going down in that plane with you, right? And so it is not selfish. It is the responsible thing to do. And you also cannot pour from an empty cup. So when you're trying to look after other people and you haven't looked after yourself, it's coming from a place of resentment half the time, right? It's not coming from a good place and you're ending up burning yourself out. And what's the point in that? So really, you need to look after yourself, put your boundaries in place. And when somebody says to you that you're being selfish, you tell the person, I can't serve you from a broken place.
It's a work in progress. I can tell you for a lot of people, it's a work in progress. Now, you've spoken about productivity and we spoke a bit about well-being, but I don't want us to end this without at least giving some people some practical ways to then take care of the different aspects of our well-being, as you alluded to initially. So tell us just maybe what works for you.
Yeah. So normally I because I work holistically, right? So let's start with the physical. And so physical is, what are you doing to take care of yourself physically? What are you start with what you're putting in your body? Nutrition, right? What are you eating? Because if you're there just not eating nutrients, but rather eating processed food being packaged as food, or things that are masquerading as food but not actually nutrient dense, what's the point? So that's the first thing you can do to support your body. Look at what you're eating. Are you actually putting nutrients in your body, or are you just putting other stuff in your body? So that's physically. And then you need to exercise this body because it helps you cut through stress, just like that. And it helps you stay fit. And this body is a tool we've been given to be able to enjoy this life. And when this body is sick, everything just feels out of whack. So, what I always say to people is, if you hate the gym, don't go to the gym. Find the exercise that you like and do that one, rather than no exercise at all, right? I, for one, I hate the gym. So you will never find me in the gym, but exercise is part of my daily routine. Right, so that is the physical. And I mean, I could go on about the physical forever. But again, things like sleep, it's not optional. It's not something that you will relegate and watch Netflix until 2 a.m. and then go to bed. No, a lot of things happen then. So again, that's the physical. Let's look at emotional. And emotional, really, it comes to how you process your emotion, your mindset, so how you're processing stress, that sort of thing. So have you got things in place? When you're stressed out, what do? Do you eat more cake and ice cream, or do you go for a run? Do you know, when you are overwhelmed with something and you feel you can't cope, have you got a circle of friends, somebody trusted that you can phone at 12 midnight and say, I'm drowning here? All those things are, so it's what you do for your mental health. So find that. If you don't have that person, cultivate that relationship, because it's good for your mental well-being, right? And then let's look at spiritual. And I'm not going to go woo-woo on you, so you can relax about that. But what is your spiritual framework? Because really, the human psychology, believe it or not, science has proven it, is built to believe in something. And I don't care what you believe in, just believe in something.
Yes.
Do find something, because basically at some point you're going to get cut down and you will be on your knees thinking, I can't go anymore, I can't go any further, I haven't got what it takes. And you need to believe in something bigger than yourself to pull you through that, to make you think, okay, I'll get up tomorrow morning, dust off myself and keep going. So whatever that philosophy is for you, you need to find that. So for me, spirituality is just literally philosophy, psychology on steroids. Find that for you. Find the belief system that works for you and start practicing that.
Yeah. You said a lot, but if it is that there's only one idea that, well, is there one idea? Let me ask it differently. Is there one idea that you'd want to resonate or just to leave with my audience that, okay, I've said a lot, but if you get nothing else, this is the core. What is that idea?
Put yourself at the center of your life, and you are responsible for your well-being and your life choices. You can't blame anybody for that.
Thank you so much for sharing, Gifty. This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Making it last is all I'm here to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers